Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Create and Consume, a podcast about what we make, watch, and buy in the era of digital content. I'm your host, Austen Tosone. So, we just had our own little dose of fake spring this week in the New York City area, and that means that we still have a few more weeks of winter to get through. Okay, I'm hopeful, but I'm not stupid. I know that this was just a little tease of 50-degree weather and that it will go away again immediately, which it already has. So, it does give me a little bit of hope and that little glimmer of pep in my step when I think about the fact that spring will be on its way very soon. This upcoming weekend, as you're listening, will be daylight savings time, and then it really only gets better from there. So, this episode is going to be a few spring cleaning tips. It is my ultimate guide for how to spring clean your life. And I hope this podcast episode serves as a guide for how you can clean, how to separate the physical and digital cleaning that you can do. And I'll also share some of my favorite cleaning products and hacks along the way. Before we get into this week's episode, let's do a little create and consume. And just a reminder, you can always let me know what you are creating and consuming as well. You can comment over on our Instagram or TikTok at Create and Consume Pod. You could send me an email. If you're watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment on this week's video. So keep me posted on what you're all watching, making, consuming, all the things. This week, I published a new vlog for my YouTube channel, and it's a pretty meta video. It's a vlog about how I vlog. So this has been an audience request of mine for a couple of weeks now. I've definitely noticed subscribers asking for tips about angles and how much to film and how to edit vlogs, which is actually going to be my next video. I think after this will be how to edit vlogs. However, if you're interested in seeing the step-by-step breakdown of how I film vlogs for YouTube, that is up now on my channel. I will leave a link to watch it in the show notes. And when it comes to what I'm consuming this week, you guys, I finally finished a book. It has taken me quite a while to get through this book because it's nonfiction, and I was really trying to make sure I was paying attention and absorbing all the details. But I have just finished reading Q the Sun by Emily Nussbaum. This book is essentially a history of the invention of reality television, and as a child of the 90s, I definitely grew up around reality TV. I watched The Hills and Project Runway when I was in middle school. Those were kind of my first forays into this whole world of reality TV, and I actually did a whole episode about reality TV on the podcast. I will link that episode in the show notes in case you haven't heard it and you're also interested. However, I feel like I even look at it differently now after finishing this book because I have really only known of the reality television of my lifetime, and I got to learn a lot more about the origins of reality television from shows like Queen for a Day and Candid Camera, all the way up through An American Family, which is almost like a precursor to the Kardashians. Definitely look it up. It's very interesting. And Emily is a Pulitzer Prize winning writer. She is extremely thorough and detailed, and I really enjoyed this book. There was, of course, talk also about the Bachelor franchise. They did focus heavily on Survivor and kind of how that became the basis or the format for the modern day competition show. I also got to read a little bit about The Amazing Race and the surprising place that they wanted to finish the season 1 race, which, if you think about the timing of the world, is incredibly interesting. So definitely would recommend this if you are honestly just interested in media and pop culture of any kind. I don't think you have to be a reality TV buff. In fact, I think you learn quite a lot from reading this book. So with all of that being said, let's get into today's conversation about how to spring clean your life. And in my head, I find it easiest to break down these kind of spring cleaning ideas into two separate categories. So I start out by making a list of everything physical that I actually want to, scrub and clean and declutter and all of that. And I also have a little list of things that I can do to digitally declutter my life. I feel like as a content creator, I do a digital declutter usually around once a quarter. But if you're not a content creator and your camera roll isn't filling up with, thousands of random video clips like mine is, it might have been a while since you've last done something like this. So we'll get to that later in the episode. When we think about the physical things around us that we actually want to spring clean or declutter, I think the first thing to remember is that this can look different for basically every person. I'm going to share some tips and ways that I've liked to spring clean in the past, but if you already live a pretty minimal lifestyle, if you don't tend to collect things or let things sit out and not be in their place for a long amount of time, then maybe spring cleaning will take you all of 10 minutes, but sometimes life happens, things pile up, things aren't where they're supposed to be. It might be a bit more of a process for you with spring cleaning. So if you feel like you are on that more extreme end of the spectrum where you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't know where to begin, just know that it's okay. We've all basically been there at some point in our life. And this is kind of a fun seasonal way to just start to tackle some of the mess or clutter or whatever it is that you want to kind of give yourself a fresh start on. I also want to add this year, the start of this year in particular, I feel like has been kind of crazy. January felt like the longest month of all time. I feel like that could have been a year in its own right. I mean, there was just so much going on out in the world and news. And I feel like for me and a lot of my friends personally too, we were just like, when will this month end? And now I'm sitting here, it's March 3rd when I'm recording. February feels like it just flew by. Like I barely even said hello to February before it was out the door again. So I always like to look at spring cleaning as a way to kind of reset and restart, especially if I feel like the year has been off to a random start, as I feel like this year has been. All of that to say, for me, spring cleaning becomes a lot easier when I break it either into smaller tasks or choose to spread it out and assign different things to different days. So if you want to maybe like also get your family involved or whoever you lived with and make it like a spring cleaning week, you could do different themes for different days. You could focus on different rooms for different days. And if you can also divvy up chores or tasks or whatever between the rest of the people you live with, you will definitely accomplish this much faster. However, I will say if you are a solo cleaner, I sometimes end up being a solo cleaner, not because Andrew doesn't offer to help, but sometimes I just get to things a little bit faster than he does. That is a time where I like to put in my favorite podcast or blast an album that I love singing along to and kind of just go to town to motivate me to actually get through with the cleaning. And I think there's usually two components to this process as well. So like if we're looking under the spring cleaning umbrella and we're on the physical side of things, under the physical side, I feel like there's both cleaning and then there's also decluttering. So cleaning is the literal, act of dusting and scrubbing and wiping things down and all of that. And then the decluttering is another component of it too. So I definitely think that there are kind of different tasks that I think of when I think of different rooms or different areas of my home. And I try to separate them out as much as possible and come up with, in an ideal world, like one main task, both in terms of cleaning and decluttering for each area of my house. My house, I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment where the main room that I'm in is my home office, Andrew's home office, my living room, my gym, my dining table, my kitchen, and my mudroom, and my laundry room. This is also probably one of the reasons that I don't accumulate too much stuff, simply because there's nowhere to put it, and also why spring cleaning probably doesn't take me as long, considering we have this main room, which I just named the 12 different use cases for it, and then a bathroom in our bedroom, and that's all we have to worry about right now. However, let's talk about all of these different spaces as if they're their own rooms, and you can use this as inspiration or a jumping off point for your home as well. So I like to start with something like the kitchen and say, okay, in terms of decluttering, maybe in the kitchen, my big theme is to do like a seasonal audit. And what I mean by that is just making sure that everything you're currently using for cooking is easily accessible for you. So for example, we like to make smoothies for breakfast during the summer, but during the winter months, our blender doesn't really get a ton of use. So maybe that means that it is put away somewhere. And then as the weather starts to get warmer, I will make sure that the blender has a spot front and center on the kitchen counter. Maybe you still have a few things lingering around from Christmas. Maybe there is a box of chocolates that someone sent you home with that you haven't touched, or maybe your fa la la mug is still in the front of your cabinet when you might want to rotate it to the back of your cabinet. Little things like that. That's what I think about when I think about decluttering in my kitchen is this in season, or how long has it been since I had this? I also, in a recent vlog, found that a lot of my spices had expired, and spices I feel like are not the worst thing in the world to have expired, but it just kind of prompted me to replace a couple of key things that I actually do use all the time, and it wasn't that big of a deal or expensive for me to replace them. So for me, I'm thinking about a lot of stuff like that when I'm decluttering a space like my kitchen, is just how can I make this the most accessible for what my current needs are in my kitchen day to day. So usually for kitchen, that will be my decluttering task. And then for actual cleaning, during this time, I really like to kind of deep clean the kitchen appliances because, of course, I wipe down the counters and wash dishes and kind of do day-to-day maintenance in the kitchen. But this is a great time to like scrub the fridge, to scrub the stove, to clean the oven, especially to make sure that those big appliances, especially if you own them, are being like well maintained and that you're able to make sure you get as much use of them as humanly possible. The next room on my list is the bathroom. So, in terms of the decluttering aspect of this, I usually like to go through all of my different beauty products and make sure that I get rid of anything expired or that I'm not using. I'll talk about this a little bit more in depth later in this video because I actually just did my biannual beauty declutter and clear out process this morning. So I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. And I'm going to keep this more general for right now. So that's my assigned decluttering task for the bathroom usually. And then in terms of the actual cleaning, I feel like just really scrubbing down the shower and the sink, making sure that the floors get Swiffered. And also as part of this, I like to take all of the towels and throw them in the washer. I am much better about washing towels now that we have lived in apartments for a few years with a washer and dryer in them. But I remember when I used to have to drag my laundry to the Bean and Clean in Williamsburg, which unfortunately was not a hybrid coffee shop and laundromat. It was just a laundromat with a cute name, if you were wondering. You know, the towel took up a lot of space in those tiny washing machines at the laundromat. So it's definitely nice now to be able to throw in a dedicated load of laundry that is just my towels. The next area is my home office area, and I run a mainly digital business, but I do find it helpful to go through my file folders, which hang on the wall right here next to my desk, and shred or get rid of any old documents that I don't really need. I feel like the biggest thing that helps me be productive and get work done is when I have a very clear space in front of me on my desk. So that is why clutter like paper and old documents is just one of the first things that I make sure that I am decluttering or removing from my eyesight, just so that I can really focus on what I'm doing and everything feels very clean and tidy. If there's a whole mess of stuff out on my desk, there is just a much higher chance that I will get distracted and that I won't be able to focus. And then for the actual cleaning portion, one thing that I am trying to be better about too is using tech wipes to clean my electronic devices. And I actually first started using tech wipes back during COVID because they were antibacterial wipes. Obviously, like going out to the grocery store and stuff, I would come back and wipe down my phone and just all of those surfaces so that I wasn't transmitting germs around. However, now I can also just use tech wipes to help me get rid of smudges, make sure that everything looks clean, wipe down my keyboard, wipe down my laptop and touchscreen devices, and obviously do all of the other regular like vacuuming and, giving my desk a wipe down and stuff like that. But that is one thing that I feel like during a spring cleaning session specifically, I will go out of my way to make sure I check off the list. Next room in the house is the living room. You can actually see my living room right behind me if you're watching on YouTube. And as you can see, again, because we live in a one-bedroom apartment, there's not really much to declutter here. We have our couch, we have a couple of things on the mantelpiece. If anything, I feel like the bookshelf is something that I would look at. And lately, I have been kind of swapping out books that I am not reading right now or that I feel like I won't need to like reference, just for my job or for content at some point in the near future. And I'm bringing a handful of those to my parents' house where I have a bunch of books and other items still stored there. And I haven't really been buying too many books lately. I mean, I'll buy something if I'm really interested in it. Like Q the Sun was actually a Christmas present from Andrew, and I'm glad that I own that book in case I ever want to refer back to it. But I just got this month's book club book from the library. I also borrow books from my mom. I borrow books from friends. And I'm also finally getting some ARCs for books, which is really exciting, meaning that the publishers are sending me advanced reader copies and I can read them and post about them or tell you guys about them, which is exciting. So I haven't really had a need to buy that many brand new books lately. So I haven't really had too much to declutter. If I were to declutter anything, I would maybe ask Andrew to go through some of his books on the bottom shelf there, which were actually from when he was studying for a certification he now has for work. So since he has that now, maybe those could find another home, but it's not really urgent. And then as far as the actual cleaning for the living room, dusting is a big one here. I always find the bookshelf to be dusty and the mantle to be dusty, even though I'm like, it hasn't been that long since the last time I dusted it. Like, what kind of scam is that? And another important cleaning task for the living room is to vacuum the couch, like make sure I remove all the couch cushions, vacuum in between the pillows and stuff, and kind of fluff the pillows and all that. Next up is our bedroom. And with the bedroom, I feel like the decluttering portion is usually closet related, and I'll talk about that later in this episode. And then when it comes to actually cleaning, again, dusting, I don't know where dust even comes from and like how it all works, but just making sure that I'm dusting my makeup vanity, our dresser, on top of any picture frames and mirrors and things like that, anywhere where dust can kind of secretly accumulate. Ironically, we have a Dyson fan in our room that's supposed to like help circulate the air and stuff, and there's an air filter in it, and that is usually the thing that has the most dust on it. Kind of funny how that works out. And then also just vacuuming under the bed. I feel like dust tends to gather under there. Also, if we ever notice that our comforter is like has a little hole or something, if there's loose feathers and things like that, those can typically be found under the bed. So just kind of making sure that's all squared away. So again, if you're kind of doing like a spring cleaning week in your house, you could do kitchen, bathroom, office, living room, bedroom. That's 5 days. That's Monday through Friday. And then you could either do the next activity, like these 3 things that I'm going to mention on the individual days for the individual rooms. Or if you want to have a designated day to just focus on these 3 things, I did write down floors, windows, mirrors as another separate day. So this just involves, vacuuming and or mopping the floors, depending on whether you have hardwood and tile and all the things, wiping down your mirrors, wiping down your windows, and just making sure that everything feels really fresh and clean. I just filmed myself doing a mini Sunday reset the other day. I can link that in the show notes if you want to see it. And it made me want to just kind of make note and write down a few of my favorite cleaning products to share with you. So I'm going to get into that now. And actually, I have pretty much all of these on my Amazon storefront. I have a list called cleaning, so I will link that in the show notes too. The first thing that I wanted to shout out is the Mrs. Meyer's cleaning products, and specifically the lemon verbena line. I have 3 core products that I get in this scent, which are the dish soap, the hand soap refills, and then the all-purpose cleaner spray. So the all-purpose cleaner spray I use to clean our counters. I also use it to clean my desk. I use it to clean the coffee table behind me because it's like a faux white marble. So just anything that, is a hard surface that needs to be wiped down, that's what I use that for. Now, for hand soap, we have these really nice refillable hand soap dispensers from Crate and Barrel, I want to say. I think they were on our wedding registry. And so we just purchased the lemon verbena hand soap refills from Mrs. Meyer's. I just prefer to do this because I feel like it wastes less plastic. And then we never really like run out of hand soap because I just repurchase on Amazon when I see we're running out. And then we also use the Mrs. Meyer's dish soap. I just like having this one brand that kind of accounts for cleaning a bunch of different things. So I like all 3 of those products, and we've been using them, honestly, I want to say since we lived in Long Island City too. So it's been over 5 years. Okay, next cleaning product to shout out is the Swiffer Wet Jet Hardwood and Floor Spray Mop. And I like this because you can purchase the pads and the refills for this product. I have both of those linked on my Amazon list, but more so than that, it's just really easy to use. And again, I don't feel like it wastes that much liquid or product because you can just press down and dispense the liquid where you need it. And it's not like a mop where things get really messy and all over the place. And for apartment living, this is just really high up on my list of something that I end up using quite often. Okay, another product that I love is our Dyson cordless vacuum. This is a splurge, obviously, but I feel like it does go on sale a decent amount. So if it's ever, President's Day or spring sale or Memorial Day or whenever you're listening to this episode, just think about when the next big holiday is and check to see if the Dyson vacuums are on sale. I believe we have the V8 cordless cleaner, but if we don't, we have one that's extremely similar to it. This is the closest match that I could find when I looked online. For dusting, I have just a couple of microfiber cloths. I feel like my mom gave me these when we moved into our first apartment in Queens. So honestly, just any microfiber cloth to wipe along, hard surfaces that acquire dust, like again, my dresser, my vanity, even some of the bases of like our lamps and things like that, anything metal that tends to accumulate dust. Next up is the Scrub Daddy / Scrub Mommy sponge, and these come in handy for lots of different things. I have one that is dedicated to the kitchen and one that we keep in the bathroom, just to kind of separate those two things out. But I like that they come with the harder, scratchier side and then the soft side. I just feel like they're really versatile and easy to use. Okay, this is a purchase that I was influenced to make via TikTok shop. And if you do not have like cleaners coming to your apartment or your home every week, I actually do recommend getting something like this. And that is an electric scrubber brush. So this one that I got has a few different head replacements that you can put on. So there's one that's like a bigger brush. There's one that looks more like a sponge. There's one that looks like it goes really nicely in the corner, like if you're scrubbing out your shower and you want to get into the smallest crevices of the shower or the bathtub. You just have to remember to charge it before you use it, and you can honestly use it for lots of different things. You can use it to clean your sinks, your stove, your shower, your toilet, like you name it, there is a replacement head for whatever you need cleaned. I actually do have a request though. If any of you guys have that similar like scrubber brush, I'm just curious, like what do you use for the bathtub or the kitchen sink? Because I've been seeing a lot of the pink stuff, and I did buy the pink stuff like liquid. I don't know, the liquid form of it, but I'm just curious if there's something else I could be using to kind of help like get rid of soap scrub. Do you know what I'm saying? Soap buildup and all of that stuff, especially like in the shower. If you guys have any recommendations for like the products that you use to clean those things, please reach out and let me know what they are. I spoke about tech wipes earlier, and again, I just kind of get these in a big, it looks like the same type of container that the Clorox wipes come from. It's like in an upright cylinder and you kind of pull one out like a tissue. I also have purchased the washing machine cleaner and the dishwasher cleaners from Amazon too, and these are all things I learned from Clean Talk, because growing up, like I didn't think about whether or not we were cleaning our washing machine. You know what I mean? It wasn't until I started seeing videos like that and until I was living alone where I was like, yeah, who does clean the washing machine? Like, what happens if it ever starts to smell? And like, who's cleaning the dishwasher? So I use these little tablets to clean the washing machine. You just throw one in at the highest heat setting and it actually like cleans the inside of your washing machine. And then for the dishwasher, it comes in this little plastic bottle from Finish, and you just turn it upside down, again, run it in your dishwasher on the hottest setting, and it cleans the whole inside of the dishwasher too. Okay, and then this isn't technically a cleaning product, but I did want to shout out the Hearth and Hand with Magnolia room sprays from Target. I have one called Pompous, and I like to just spray that after I'm done cleaning a room because I feel like it gets rid of any of that cleaner product leftover smell. So if you want your home to smell like what I imagine Joanna Gaines' home or whoever smells like, then that might be something to add to cart the next time you're at Target. I just got a little distracted because my stomach is making kind of crazy sounds right now, and I like just ate lunch, so I don't understand what's going on. Like, I don't think I'm hungry, but maybe I am hungry. Maybe I need a snack after this. Okay, I want to talk about two specific physical decluttering processes, and then I'll get into some digital tips. Now, I mentioned earlier in this episode that today I did my biannual beauty declutter and clear out. Basically, as a content creator, I am in the very fortunate position to have brands sending me different products to try out and test and share with you guys, my audience. That is still one of the coolest parts about this job to me. The novelty of getting sent products by brands basically never wears off. However, that being said, I need to be pragmatic about what I realistically can and cannot test, and I want to make sure that I'm testing products to really give the product a fair shake. So if it's skincare, I don't just want to use it once and toss it, unless, of course, I got like a very crazy reaction from it. Skincare, I really like to give time, like 3 or 4 weeks, to test those products and see how they're working. Makeup, I can be a little more flexible with, but also sometimes I get sent things by brands that I just simply can't use. If I ever get products, for darker skin tones than mine or curly hair or just things that like I personally don't have, I'm not always able to test everything. So when things come in, I put them in one of two bins. Right here next to my desk, I have a giveaway bin for friends and family, and I have a bin of products that I need to test. So what I did earlier today, and I'll have a whole YouTube video up on this in a couple of days probably from when you're listening, so just be sure to subscribe to my channel on YouTube and stay tuned if you want to see it for yourself. But then I also have a bin of products that I want to test out, and the thing that usually happens is this bin fills up with products that I want to test, but I don't actually test them right away because I need to clear out room either at my vanity or in my bathroom and my medicine cabinet to make sure that those products are ready to go so that as I'm doing my evening skincare routine, I can just reach and grab them and they're right in front of me. So this morning I went through and decluttered a bunch of products, and I usually look for one of three things when I'm doing that. Is it expired? Is it empty? Or is it something I'm just not reaching for? Right now, all of the new products that I'm excited about testing are where they need to be so I can easily reach for them and grab them when I feel like creating content. And then this process also gives me an easy opportunity to wipe down my drawers and inside the medicine cabinet and de-dust my vanity and all of those things. So maybe if you're a content creator, that gives you some insights and ideas for how to keep track of all of the products. Oh my God, I better not hear my stomach growling like this when I'm editing. Please let this mic pick up my voice and only my voice. I also wanted to share my quick guide for how to clean out your closet. So the first thing is to just make sure that your bed is made, your room is tidy, and that you have basically a place to lay out your clothes so you can really see everything and see visually what you have all together. Then from there, you take everything out of your closet, and this is your chance to get rid of any like broken hangers, to vacuum inside the closet, to dust anything that needs to be dusted, and again, make sure that you kind of have a good blank slate for when you go to add things back in after you decide what you're keeping. I typically make 3 piles when I go through my closet. I have one that's a definite keep, one pile that's a maybe, and one that is a giveaway / donation pile. I also wanted to add here, Hoboken, where I live, actually has a fabric recycling bin. So if I come across any items that I don't feel like are in good enough condition to be donated, I will usually just bring them to the recycling bin. So at least they're not going directly into landfill. The definite keep pile, I plan to put all of those items back in my closet. And for me, the maybe pile is usually a pile of things that I need to try on. Maybe it's a pair of pants that I bought a little while ago and I'm not really sure how they fit me, or maybe it's a dress where I just need to try it on to confirm that, oh, it's just not something I can throw on. I need to make sure I'm wearing a very particular type of bra, or that I need to like tape it in this way. And because it takes so much effort, maybe that's not something that I want to hold on to. So with your maybe pile, I would recommend just trying everything on in it, because usually when you see it on your body, it will give you an easier yes or no. And then once you have everything you're keeping in one kind of clear pile, you can start putting things back into your closet. And I like to do this in kind of a combination of ways. Once you've gone through the maybe pile and moved everything to either keep or donate, then you are all set to start putting your keep pile back into your closet. I'm sure people have lots of different personal preferences when it comes to organizing their closets, but if I could give 2 suggestions, one would be to group things by color, just because color is usually the first thing I think of when I think of an item of clothing. Like today, I'm wearing a white cropped sweatshirt and a pair of black Meadwell jeans, so if I'm building an outfit in my head, I like knowing what color story I'm working within, and then from there, I'll go to that color story and see which individual piece I think works best with what I'm thinking. And you can also organize your closet seasonally. So in a few weeks, I will probably move some of my more long sleeve items to the back of my closet and move more sundresses and camisoles and things like that to the front of my closet. I can't wait for that day to happen, especially because, oh, I didn't even tell you guys that we didn't end up going to Florida last week, which I'm so disappointed about. We're hopefully either going to reschedule our trip for spring training this month, or maybe book a trip later this year to go see the Mets at a stadium. But my dad actually woke up last week just not feeling well at all. He was actually sick all day. It was just like an awful 24-hour bug, but there was no way he could have gotten on a plane. So he's doing much better now, though. And I just remembered last week I was like, yeah, and by the time you're listening to this, I'll be back from Florida. And I just want to make it clear, I did not see the sun. I did not go to Florida, but I hope to reschedule our trip again soon. And I'm still super excited for the season that I think the Mets can have this year, which I know my dad is looking forward to as well. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, sorting your closet by season definitely makes it easier to get dressed in the morning, because there's a higher chance you'll find what you're looking for right in front of you versus trying to look for something that is hiding in the back of your closet when it shouldn't be if it belongs to the season that you're currently in. You will be feeling so good about yourself when you go through all of these physical spring cleaning tasks, but honestly, another thing that makes a huge difference for me is doing a digital spring cleaning. A few things that I like to do in tandem with my physical spring cleaning activities on the digital side are, number one, on trying to clear out my phone camera roll. This is something that can absolutely be done kind of as a background task. So maybe for me, I would like hop on my Peloton and bring my phone to do this, or put on an episode of Gilmore Girls and kind of scroll through my camera roll. Really, what I look for here is just any duplicate photos. One fun way you could do it is, if you're listening to this episode and planning to clear out your camera roll in March, you could go back and just look through all of the photos from Marches over the years. And then you could also put a calendar reminder in April, go back and look at all of your April photos. I don't know about you, but I just have so many things in my camera roll, and some of them are really, really important to me, and others are like, couldn't care less if I lost it or never saw that image again. I think that is both the beauty and the hazard of the ability to document every single thing is that we document every single thing, and I want to make sure that like the important images are preserved. So going back through my camera roll, again, like I think just me hopping on the Peloton bike for 30 minutes and spending that time doing it, or watching a 42-minute episode of Gilmore Girls. It doesn't have to be done all at once, but even if you can delete like a couple hundred photos from your camera roll, I think you'll feel much better. Or at least I always do. I always feel a little bit of a weight lifted. Also, on my laptop, I like to empty my downloads folder. For me, my downloads is kind of just like, this isn't really what I mean, but it's kind of like a computer purgatory where like things are there, and if I need them, I save them or modify them or move them in some way. And if I don't need them, they just kind of stay perpetually in downloads forever. So I will clear out the downloads folder and also empty my trash on my laptop. Another thing I do is run a software called Clean My Mac. If you're a Mac user, I will leave a link to this in the show notes. It's amazing. It basically just looks for duplicate files. It does a malware scan and makes sure that your computer is in tip-top shape. And lastly, something I like to spring clean is my algorithm. Sometimes I follow creators who I will look at their stuff and think, you know, I really don't relate to this anymore, or this really isn't for me right now. It's not like, you know, bringing me joy or inspiring me or helping me. Maybe it's just something that I can remove from my feed. So I think I try to kind of do this year round as much as possible to ask myself if everyone I'm following is adding value to my feed, just because there is so much content out there, so much noise, and I want to be really cognizant of like who I'm spending time with parasocially. I don't know if that sounds crazy or if anyone else feels that way, but I want to make sure that even just parasocially, I'm surrounding myself with people who are like uplifting and posting cool things and inspiring me. And that, yeah, if something just doesn't fit into that category anymore, that's not a big deal. I can either unfollow or I can mute if I don't want to lose the connection, but I just don't feel like the content is serving me to be shown to me 24/7. Oh, and one more thing that I've been testing out that I'm really liking so far that I heard from another podcast host was the idea of muting almost everyone on Instagram stories. And that might seem a little extreme, but again, I'm just muting stories. I'm not muting posts. So hopefully I'm not missing any like big announcements or major milestones and things like that. But truly, this is just less about what people are posting on their stories and more about me trying to minimize my screen time where possible. As you guys know, last month I took a break from Instagram and TikTok. I plan to take a few more breaks throughout the year just to show that you can take time off as a content creator, and it's not the end of the world if you are not logged into TikTok or Instagram for a week. I really want to set a good example, especially in terms of mental health and being self-employed, that it's okay to take breaks like that. But honestly, even just trying to change my habits generally, in addition to taking those breaks, is something I'm trying to work on this year. Basically, almost everyone on Instagram, maybe with an exception of like 50 people out of like the 2,000 accounts that I follow. And it's not because I don't love the creators that I'm following. I obviously still want to see their posts and their reels and hopefully their important milestones and things like that. But really, it's helped me minimize my time spent just swiping through stories on Instagram, because at a certain point, I run out of stuff to look at. So that might be something to think about if you feel like you have just been sucked into your phone lately, because I'm super guilty of that as well. Okay, I hope you guys really enjoyed today's spring cleaning episode. I hope this motivated you and got you in the mood to just get your home and life organized so that you can fully enjoy the start of hopefully warmer weather on its way soon. You can support Create and Consume for free by doing any of the following. You can leave Apple and Spotify ratings and reviews. You can like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you're watching this episode on YouTube. You can follow along at Create and Consume Pod on Instagram and TikTok. You could send this episode to a friend who might enjoy it. And as always, don't forget to check out createandconsumepodcast.com for episode recaps and more. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.